Stephen Frears' new biopic The Program focuses on former road racing cyclist Lance Armstrong and what the United States Doping Agency called the most sophisticated, professionalized and successful doping program that sport has ever seen. Ben Foster plays Lance Armstrong, who is called on the poster a champion, a hero, a legend and in the end, a cheat. A cheat because regardless of what he said for all those years, he used a broad variety of performance-enhancing drugs over the course of almost his whole career. The program opens with a beautiful shot of him cycling with his last strength on a steep slope. I would almost say that it's as breathtaking and impressive as the shots in Everest, which we just talked about. The landscape, the mountains, it all looks absolutely stunning, but the strongest aspect is the sheer willpower and physical exertion that is expressed here. There are more shots like this in the movie and I like that quite a bit. Next to that there are even some light upbeat pop songs like Blitzkrieg Bob, which creates a great counterpart to the more dark and intense moments. And there are a lot of that, because this movie is really hard to look at times, especially for people like me who have issues with themes regarding medicine, serious diseases and needles. But let's start with the story. The movie is for most parts based on the book 7 Deadly Sins by the sports journalist David Walsh. The number 7 alludes to Armstrong's 7 Tour de France titles, which later were all taken back after the doping scandal became public. David Walsh is portrayed by the Irish actor Chris O'Dowd, who does a great job as the idealist and very likable sports journalist, who is searching for the truth. Everybody should be able to see that there must be something wrong with somebody who increases his performance suddenly above all expectations, but Walsh is the only one who really tries to investigate. Well, at least that's the way in the movie, because I'm personally not that into the history of cycling sports. But without any big surprises, the strongest performance comes from Ben Foster. I liked that guy ever since his craziness in the Bruce Willis vehicle Hostage, and then a few years later he really shined at the side of Woody Harrelson in the anti-war drama The Messenger. He not only looks like Armstrong, but he really brings the psychological aspects of the role as well. Excuse the pun, but what he does really feels like a tour de force. What's great about the program is how focused the movie is. So much that we start at the point where drugs became relevant to Armstrong and we end only a few seconds after his final confession at Oprah's. From the start, Armstrong is characterized as an extreme ambitious but also somewhat broken figure here. There are no glorious victories or accomplishments here to begin with. Of course, in real life there were, and Armstrong had a very promising career, but that's left out for the sake of a very focused, stringent narrative. We get to know Armstrong as an athlete who reached his limits. He's seeing the famous Dr. Michel Ferrari, who tells him that there's nothing more he could accomplish with his body proportions. And then after experience with the drug EPO and a few first successes, life hit Armstrong very hard because he got diagnosed with testicular cancer and also 2 tumors in his brain. The program is very direct and unrelenting, giving us what of course can only be a glimpse of the pain and suffering a person have to endure in real life with such a message and of course the following therapy. Again, it's Ben Foster's great performance and the strong direction of Stephen Frears that let us participate and feel sympathy with him, or at least a kind of understanding for his motivation and decisions. After his illness, Armstrong contacts Michel Ferrari again, and what follows almost gave me a little Dr. Frankenstein vibe, with Ferrari, played by Guillaume, Canet, with a very strong accent, trying all kinds of different treatments to increase the physical performance of Armstrong. Like I said, there are many needles here, many blood bags, injections, and a whole lot of talk about improving or rather abusing your body to get a better, faster, more enduring output. The movie is called The Program and that's what it's all about. And I really like the strong focus on it. There's even one of the best cuts I have seen in the last few months, where Armstrong and his first wife meet for the first time. It goes a little bit like this. You like pizza? You like Italian food? You like cycling? Whereupon she replies, yes, yes, yes. And then bam, cut to the wedding. Just perfect. I'm pretty sure his wife was one of the most important figures in his life, but showing us that would have been a completely different movie. And when making a movie, it's not just about what you show, but it's also about what you don't. and I really appreciate the focus here. You could even argue that it's not that much of a sports movie because all the competitive aspects, all the training, the actual races, it's in the background. Again, the movie is called The Program and that's what we get. You may say that it's a little bit unfair because you could get the feeling that Stephen Frears is undermining Armstrong's qualities as an athlete, but I think many people understand that while even when you are doping, you are still a human being with an extraordinary physical capacity and a huge potential in the sport that you are doing. Because otherwise you would just be a normal guy that abuses drugs to be stronger, faster, or whatever you would like to achieve. But when you are a top contender in what you do, you need all those things and unfortunately in many sports performance enhancing drugs as well. And in some sports it's more obvious than in others. Maybe the movie goes a little bit far by concentrating as much on the pure medical aspects of it. The program understands an athlete a little bit too much as just a physical being that you can tinker with until you get the best results. The mental aspects get pushed aside. But then again, I find it very interesting and intriguing how the movie generates its tension and momentum. It's not the actual race where you have to hold your breath and hope your hero racer will win the day. No, what's more the case is that the actual challenge is not getting caught while cheating. That's why it was called the most sophisticated, professionalized and successful doping program that sport has ever seen. Because they did everything they could to trick all authorities and make everybody believe everything is according to the rules. It's like a big coup or a heist that they have to pull off. Nobody wants to get caught, even if what you are doing is wrong. You are rooting for the gangster in a gangster movie and you are somewhat rooting for Armstrong as well. Even if it's not for the whole movie and you know and hope that justice will come in the end after all, if we can call it justice in that case, because like I mentioned shortly, sports and doping is a difficult topic. Alright, that's Stephen Frears' The Program. It has a strong focus, great performances, especially by Ben Foster, but also from the rest of the cast. The story is intriguing, the imagery great, and the editing intense. So I would definitely recommend it. And it goes without saying that you don't have to be into cycling or sports in general to appreciate this movie. So what do you think? Did you enjoy Ben Foster's performance? Is it maybe even an Oscar contender? And what about Armstrong himself? Do you still regard him as one of the best athletes? Or is his image too damaged by the whole doping affair? Please let me know in the comments below.